30. But first up, let's ask our healthcare experts what they think of the president's announcement today and our interpretation of it. Joining us is Gavin Newsom, Lieutenant Governor of California, Bob Leshevsky, President of Health Policy, and Heath, Independent Women's Forum Senior Policy Analyst. Okay, Mr. Leshevsky, I got to go to you and get your take, all right? There may be less there than meets the eye regarding what President Obama said, as reported by our own Bob Harwood and Robert Costa. Up to the insurance commissioners, up to the insurance companies themselves. Do you think canceled policies will be restored in any bulk size?
Probably not. This is really another administrative mess. I understand at least one company has already said they're going to try to do it, Florida Blue Cross. Most other companies are just having a real time with this. This is nothing more than the president throwing the hot potato, the hot political potato about cancellations back to the insurance companies. And he puts them in a hell of a mess. The insurance companies, to do this, only have 31 days to right the ship here. You know, this is coming from the president who built healthcare.gov in 3 years and it doesn't work. And he's telling the insurance industry that in 31 days, because December 15th is the sign-up deadline under healthcare.gov, that they've got to reverse all this. They've got to send a letter to every policyholder, tell them the difference between their policy and they have now and ObamaCare. They have to send it through the U.S. mail. They have to give the policyholder time to make a decision. When the policyholder makes a decision, they've got to rejigger their computer systems, the premium payment systems, the bank debit systems. Do all of this in 31 days. It took the insurance industry months to get ready for ObamaCare, and they want them to turn on a dime. And so what the president has done is put him in a hell of a box here, because they either say they're going to do it and have just a technology, logistical nightmare, probably lots of customer service problems, or they say they're not going to do it, and then guess what, Larry? If they don't do it, who's the cancellation fault? It's the insurance companies.
That's right. They're going to be blamed. They're absolutely going to be blamed, like they always are. Lieutenant Governor Gavin Newsom, as far as I know, California has had about 1 million or more pink slip cancellations. Yep. What do you think is going to go on out there? Will any of these cancellations be returned? Will there be renewals? What's your Commissioner Jones going to say? And what do you hear from the insurance companies?
All to be determined. I mean, look, this is a mess. Let's be candid and open and honest about it and not ideological. And it continues to get messier, I think. And I think Bob's assessment is as good as any. And I have great confidence in Bob's point of view and his objectivity on these things. But look, you're right. Dave Jones, our insurance commissioner, will have to take a look. Obviously, and not surprisingly, the insurance companies out here are not happy about it. They're looking for a different kind of mix. And they want to see young, healthy people in the mix. And that's becoming a clearer challenge for us. But let me just say this. You know, as someone that's a very strong supporter of the implementation, thoughtfully done, of the Affordable Care Act, California is doing the best of any state in this country. We are trying our best in good faith not to have the partisan acrimony that's defining this debate in Washington, D.C., and we're making real progress. But there's no question that the announcement today, I think, offers more questions than it does answers.
Well, Gavin, just let me ask you, look, you're Lieutenant Governor. What's your druthers, okay? In terms of policy, if you meet with Commissioner Jones, if you meet with insurance company heads, maybe you are, I don't know. I'm just saying, what do you want them to do? Do you want them to satisfy the outcry and have some of these renewals? I know it's hard, as Bob Leshevsky said. Is that what you want or not?
Well, I mean, look, if my insurance was canceled, I want that addressed. So the answer is yes, we'd like to see that addressed. But I think, look, I think it's pretty clear, and John at the top of the show was pretty, I think, accurate. This was a political decision more than it was a policy, but the policy implications of doing that and resolving it for the million-plus people here in California are very significant, and that could be a bigger political problem in the medium and long term.
All right, Hadley, what if this thing doesn't work, if you don't get many renewals, if the president's blame on the insurance companies, as Bob Leshevsky suggested, worked, okay, and they probably are aiming at that, where does this leave the Republican Party? Boehner sounded very defiant today. He says, end it, end it. So that means why vote for Fred Upton's bill? Why vote for any bills? You know, Mr. President, you made this bed, now you got to sleep in it.
I agree with John and Gavin, who have said that today's announcement from the president is more about political coverage than it is about insurance coverage. I think the American people will see through that. In a Quinnipiac poll this week, Americans 2-to-1 say that this law will make their personal health care experience worse. So, yes, I think it's time for Republicans to come out and say we need to repeal the law in its entirety. They've been saying that. They've been criticized for taking more than 40 votes that would repeal some or all of the law. But at the end of the day, those were 40 exits that Democrats missed, chances to change and avoid this outcome.
All right. I'm going to talk next. You guys are all going to stay. Bob Hadley, Robert, Gavin, stay right where you are. I'm going to talk about something called adverse. We welcome back our panel of healthcare experts. We have Gavin Newsom, Lieutenant Governor of California, Bob Leshevsky, President of Health Policy and Strategy Associates, and Hadley Heath, Independent Women's Forum Senior Policy Analyst. Lieutenant Governor Newsom, I want to ask you about Medicaid, okay? This troubles me enormously. The reports all around the country is that the biggest sign-ups by far are for Medicaid, which is the worst of the health care programs, the worst of the doctors. The best doctors won't go near it. The best hospitals won't go near it. I want to ask if that's true in California, and I want to ask how you cover those expenses.
Well, it's certainly true. We had about anywhere, it depends on what date you use. That's why these numbers are always fungible. But about 79,000 people that have gone through our exchange that we've identified as eligible for Medi-Cal, Medicaid here in California. About 59,000, probably updated today, over 60,000 that actually have been afforded the opportunity through the exchange. So there's the disparity. So you're correct. We're going to see a dramatic expansion in Medi-Cal here in California. You're not wrong about some of the challenges as it relates to the quality of care and the reimbursement challenges associated with Medi-Cal, Medicaid generally in this country. It's certainly been a dominant focus in terms of that expansion here in the state.
Yeah, listen, we hear it from, various reports from all the states around the country. California being such a big state. Bob Leshevsky, let me ask you another one. Small group insurance, all right? They are going to get their, we talked a little bit about this last night, but they are going to get their renewal slips. They're going to have a very large, as I understand it, 30 to 40% premium increases. What if they say no, Bob? What if they decide, these small business people, they'd rather pay the penalty and go off on their own?
Well, you're absolutely right, Larry. What's going on right now is the next shoe in Obamacare is dropping. Just this week, the January 2014 small group renewals started going out. I'm talking to insurance brokers around the country, and they're telling me they're receiving them, and these rate increases are pretty stiff. It's the people in the small group, under 50 employees, market have to have the same benefit mandates as the individual market. So one of the things that drove up the individual costs so high were these mandates. The small employers now are getting the same thing. And so you've got a lot of small employers that are thinking very seriously about whether they're going to continue their insurance. And they're getting hit hard.
All right, so those funds are not coming in. Because, Hadley, here's where I'm going with this. If the young people, so-called young healthies, don't sign up, if the small business people don't sign up, if other larger business people don't sign up as it comes out next year, how is it that these premiums are going to somehow finance the increase in insurance claims that are going to come from the older, sicker cohort? It seems like a massive structural imbalance to me, and I don't know how that's going to work, who's going to pay for it, or does that drag the whole system down?
Exactly. The enrollment figures coming out this week were disappointing because they were low, but it's also a concern about not just the size of the pool of people signing up, but the shape of that pool. We need people who are young and healthy and willing to pay the premiums for coverage that sometimes they feel that they don't need, and that may be the case many young people. Of course, when we look at the Affordable Care Act and we look at the situation of young people, they could be coming from dramatically different circumstances. Under 26, you might be on your parents' plan and totally unaware of the cost of health insurance. But over that age, especially if you don't have an employer benefit, you're going to find out very quickly because of age band compression, this is not a good deal.
I mean, if you do go back to your insurance policies, Bob Leshevsky, that some people will. I don't know what the numbers are going to be. But if you do go back to them, that's another drain on the premiums. And I just don't see this. To me, was the fundamental structural problem in Obamacare. Holman Jenkins calls it a con job. I'm just going to say it's a fiscal issue. What are we going to do about this?
Well, you're hitting on the right point, which is you really have to have the same rules for everybody, whatever they are. Now, the problem with Obamacare is the rules and the regulations and the benefit mandates are so stringent that it exploded the costs of insurance. But you do, in fact, need one pool. Hopefully, we can have one pool that's reasonable for everybody in terms of the requirements. By having all of these mandates and so forth, they've really created a structural imbalance in terms of pricing now. So if the president wants some people to take the old plans and some people to take the new plans, they're going to self-select. There's the opposite of anti-selection. What I'm hearing from insurance executives right now is they think this is going to be an even bigger mess because people who can make money in Obamacare are going to take that deal. People who can make money in the old plans are going to take that deal. And both pools are going to start having some very serious problems. I don't know who's advising this president on how the insurance markets work, but every time they make a move, they are mucking it up even more.
You know, Gavin Newsom, I'm going to give you the last word briefly, if you would, but yeah. I don't know why the federal government doesn't work out something with the states and just subsidize somehow, maybe through vouchers or tax credits or whatever, those who are older and are sick and have trouble getting insurance, okay? God bless them. We have to help them. We're a great country. And we're a beneficent country. But there's better ways to do it than to create this whole rigmarole of taxes and mandates and this and that. It seems to me we could have just gone right to them and done it that way. I'll give you the last word.
Well, change is difficult, and you can't be ideological about this. You've got to be open argument, interested in evidence. I applaud the president for at least acknowledging the obvious. A promise that was made wasn't kept.
But listen to me. Listen to me. I'm not being ideological. I'm just saying let the government help these people. Well, I'm all for it. And that's probably a very un-Reagan, unconservative, unfree market message. But we can afford it, and it would make everything simpler.
Well, perhaps it would. Look, we're dealing with the cards that are dealt. We're doing our best out here in California. We know it costs a lot less money to keep you well than to treat you after you're sick. We've got 7.3 million people that are desperate for health insurance. We've got over 60,000 people that think the exchange worked pretty well, considering the difficulties we had here in California. We want to work with the president, and we want to see this expanded. We don't want to see this thing thrown out, but we also don't want to be, again, ideological about the challenges that are self-evident as we move forward, not just over the next few months, but over the next number of years.
All right, well, it's going to be a tough fall. Anyway, California Lieutenant Governor Gavin Newsom, Bob Leshevsky, Hadley Heath, thank you very much. Up next on